Welcome back to Between the Shelves. This is your host, Alex, and once again, I am joined by Peter from Adult Services. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
So this is our What Are You Into episode. So we're going to talk about what we're into. I'll launch off here. I just finished a great book. It's called A Fire in the Heartland by Timothy Egan. Timothy Egan is a National Book Award winner or a Pulitzer winner. I forget which. Maybe both. He writes nonfiction. This is another nonfiction book. The last book I read by him, which I've talked about, I think, in previous episodes, is called The Worst Hard Time, and it's about the Dust Bowl in the early 1900s. And this is another book set around that time, but this one takes place in Indiana, and it's the story of a notorious character named D.C. Stevenson, who became the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan in the 1920s. So this story, the title is called, again, A Fire in the Heartland. It follows the D.C. Stevenson, the man. Basically, it follows his rise from kind of like a snake oil salesman, kind of seedy character, rising through the ranks of the KKK, eventually taking it over, and all the way to the peak of his power, where he basically ran the state of Indiana. He had the governor, he had the Congress like in his pocket. Basically, he paid off the police. He had his own private police force, and he managed much of the Midwest and beyond Ku Klux Klan in the United States through the late 20s and early 30s. And at the peak of their power, they had over 6 million members in 21 states. So he was an incredibly powerful character at the time, someone I'd never heard of. And apparently he had aspirations to run for president, and a lot of people thought he could do it. So the first third of the book or so kind of details his rise. Or the first, I guess, maybe 2/3 of the book kind of detail his rise. His corruption, how he maintained power, how, some of the atrocities that he committed while he was in charge of the Ku Klux Klan. And the last third of the book, it kind of pivots into a court drama. So it basically details the downfall of D.C. Stevenson and in part the Ku Klux Klan. And it's a very, very interesting story. It was basically all brought down by one woman. It sort of reminded me of how Truman Capote and the Mafia was brought down in Chicago, where, you'd think it was for all the murdering and all the things like that would take him down. But it was tax evasion that brought down Capone. And in a similar vein, was it tax?
I think you said Truman Capote instead of Al Capone the
Al
first
Capone.
time.
We had to take down.
Not the same.
Yeah, sorry. Al Capone, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's a similar story with Stevenson. He was brought down from a rape case of all things. He raped his secretary, and the secretary, I know, I'm sorry, this is very dark for an episode, but she ended up dying as a result of it. And on her deathbed, she wrote basically a letter to her lawyer detailing all of this. And it went through a crazy court battle to even see if this was admissible evidence. And it's a really riveting story, but, spoiler, he was convicted, and it brought down much of the KKK at the peak of its power. So it's a really incredible story. And, I wanted to read this book, one, because I like the author, but two, it takes place in a time that I don't think, at least in my experience, it's not an era of American history that's taught or gone into in much depth in school. The era of like late Reconstruction, Jim Crow era, to up until, the World Wars. That's when, most history classes start picking up because it's exciting and kids get excited with big nations fighting one another. But This is an important part of American history, and a lot of it we're still living through today. So I think this should be, required reading, because it really paints a very vivid picture of this era of time. But it was a really great book. I highly recommend it. And, it's a riveting tale. It ends on as good as any Hollywood blockbuster movie. I mean, it's a big courtroom drama, and I was riveted all the way through. So that's a book that I'm really into. I highly recommend it.
Sounds fascinating.
Peter, what are you into right now?
I may have told you about this before. I'm telling everybody I know about it because I really love this new show. It's called Mrs. Davis. It's on Peacock, which is like the NBC streaming service, but it's co-show run by Damon Lindelof, who he did Lost, he did The Leftovers, he did Fringe. He's one of my favorite showrunners. Like if he's involved, I'll always watch it. But it was written by, I don't remember her name, but she was a comedy sitcom show writer. She wrote for like The Big Bang Theory and some like network sitcoms, but it's a story of an AI that, at least in the US, is called Mrs. Davis, that basically takes over the world. Everybody, there's no more conflict that everybody has like on their phone or in their earpiece. She kind of tells you what to do, and there's things like you can get wings, where if you do enough good stuff that she has you do, you get wings. And basically, if people film you on their phone, you'll see wings. And it's like people are doing all sorts of things, and she's really controlling everything, and everything seems good. But there's the main character, who is played by Betty Gilpin, who is one of my favorite actresses. She plays a nun that refuses to use the AI and is like bent on taking it down basically. And she eventually, the AI gets her to speak to her. She won't speak to her, and tells her if it has like, she's a nun, it has a religious connotation. The AI, Mrs. Davis, in England she's called Mum, and in other places she has different names, but sends her on a quest that she says, if you complete this quest for me, I'll do anything you want me to do. And it's to find the Holy Grail. But her price of finding it is, say, if I find it, then you have to basically end yourself, shut down. So it's really fun. It's weird. It's very weird. It's funny. But it's got a really good mix of strangeness and drama and laughter. It's like really easy to eat, to watch in bite size. It's in bite size pieces. It's really fun to watch, and I really highly recommend it.
Yeah, it sounds right up my alley. Davis. What is it on again?
It's on Peacock, which is if you don't have it, maybe you know somebody who does. I can't say that officially. But yeah, it's, or you can subscribe and then cancel it when you're done. Yeah. It's worth it.
All right. How far are they in the season right now?
I think they actually posted the whole thing. Oh, okay. So I haven't finished it. I'm trying to save it because I like it so much. So I try not to watch more than one or two episodes. All
right. Well, yeah, 1 month of Peacock. It sounds worth it.
Yeah.
Subscribe, enjoy the show, and then sign out. Very cool. Yeah, I definitely want to check out that show. I've seen a lot of good things about it. The only other thing I wanted to talk about is I'm a big movie watcher. Anyone who's probably listened to this should know that by now, or anyone who knows me knows that, at least judged by our Oscar episodes. So I watch a lot of movies, and I use a website called Letterboxd to track all of my movies. If you aren't aware of it, it's sort of like Goodreads, but for movies, with a little bit better aesthetic, I think. So I've been tracking my movies on Letterboxd for a long, long time, and I noticed that I was approaching my 2000th movie. I was coming up on it, and I kind of got like a paralysis effect. I didn't know what my 2000th movie should be, and I was kind of tearing my hair out about it, and I was kind of stuck at 1,999 movies logged for a long time, like weeks. And I finally broke through, I'm happy to say, and now I've been catching up on my movies, back to my regular pace. So I want to talk about the two movies I watched back to back to break through this little blockade I had set up for myself. So my 2000th movie I logged is a movie called Russian Ark. Peter, I think I was telling you about this earlier. So this movie came out in 2001, and I heard about it then, and I've been wanting to watch it for a long, long time. So I thought this is the right time to watch it. The movie it's set in Russia at the Russian Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. And the movie is famous for being shot in one continuous shot. The film's about 90 minutes long, an hour and a half roughly, and it's all one shot. Now I know a lot of movies like 1917 and movies subsequently have come out that kind of look like they were shot in one take, but they were not. It's just magic of editing. But this movie was actually shot in one continuous shot, and it all takes place in the Russian Hermitage Museum. So the plot is very loose. It's hard to describe, but it's basically it's from the perspective of a ghost who is the ghost of a 19th century French diplomat who is basically wandering the halls of this museum and witnessing events throughout Russian history over the last 300 years, basically. So you witnessed, Catherine the Great, Peter the Great, World War II. All of these events are happening as you're walking through the halls. So it's a huge production. There was over 2,000 actors involved. There are 3 separate orchestra scenes, so they had 3 orchestras set up in the museum. It's absolutely breathtaking to behold, and the longer you watch the movie, the more tension builds because you're just hoping that no actor flubs their line or somebody in the background sneezes or something, and especially towards the end of the movie where it's been going on for an hour and it's all one shot. And the movie just builds and builds. It's not like towards the end of the movie they just start doing monologues or something, something easy to shoot. It just gets bigger and bigger. And the final scene of the movie has hundreds of actors, and I don't know how they pulled it off. Apparently they did it on their 3rd take. They
I was just going to say, it must have taken 100 million takes to do it.
So, no, it was the 3rd take they nailed it, and I'm glad they nailed it because they only had permission to shoot in the museum for 1 day. So if they didn't get it, that was it. They were going to make their movie. It's a great movie. It's, I don't recommend it for everyone, but if you're a fan of cinematography or movie history or Russian history, it's a really interesting film. It looks beautiful. It's beautiful. The set pieces, everything. It's really great. And the other movie I watched, kind of switching gears a little bit, this one's much more fun. It's an anime film called Mind Game. So I wish I saw this movie before we did our anime episode because this is one of the best anime movies or animated movies I've ever seen. It's the story of a young man who is murdered, and he goes to heaven, and then he decides he doesn't want to die. He wants another chance at life. So he escapes heaven and is reborn moments before he dies and gets a second chance at life and love. There's a girl he's pining after. So that's kind of like the basic premise. But the movie is wild. The animation style is amazing. It blends together a bunch of different anime and animation styles. It mixes mediums. It will go to live action quickly. It'll go to stop motion animation. And it kind of weaves back and forth depending on the mood it's trying to tell. And it's absolutely a wonder to behold. I don't know how they pulled it off. And it was the director's first film too, which is even more impressive. But after watching it, it reminded me of Everything Everywhere All at Once, which won Best Picture last year. And I can absolutely see the parallels between the two with not only the themes, but the action sequences in Mind Game are very, very, very similar to Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I can see where Everything Everywhere All at Once kind of got inspiration or definitely pulled some ideas from this movie because this movie has a lot to do with like the metaverse and your choices and how that affects, different outcomes of your life and fate and all those kind of themes. And the action sequences in the movie are if you've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, you know what I'm talking about. It's hard to describe, where I'll just do extremely quick flashes of all these different outcomes that could happen of your life. And they're all absurd in different ways and, all kinds of things like that. So really great movie. And if you want to watch either of them, they're both available on the library's streaming apps. So I watched Russian Ark on Canopy, which is a free service you can get from the library. And Mind Game is available on Hoopla, another free app you get through your library card. So if you want to check those out, they're available for free to you right now.
I definitely want to see those. Those sound really good.
Yeah, check out the trailers for Mind Game at least. It's a trip. It's fun, even if you just...
I loved Everything Everywhere All at Once, so the Mind Game in particular, I think I would be really into.
I think you would too. And they're both not very long either. They're under 90 minutes or so. They're not super long. And that's all I got for this episode.
I got one more quick one. Another TV show. If you're looking for a good murder mystery show on PBS, there is it's a masterpiece mystery. It's Magpie Murders, and it's classic sort of Agatha Christie style murder show in some ways. But the way it works is that in contemporary times, there's a small publisher in London, and they have their one author that's like their only profitable author. He writes these murders. It's a detective. I should have written it down. I don't remember the name of the detective, but he's a man. Anyway, he's writing a book, and it's the next book in the series, and they're about to do a big merger with a big publishing company, and they're betting they won't do it without the new book because that's their big profitable author, and the author dies, and they don't know if he's been murdered. It looks like suicide, but it's right after they've been given the manuscript for the final book. So the main character in the movie, she's like the copy editor or the editor for the publishing. She reads through the whole thing, and the last chapter is missing, so you don't know what happens. But so they're. And the novel is set in I think the 40s, 50s, like just post World War II. Mm-hmm. So there's half the scenes there, they go through what's going on in the story, and since they don't know how it ends, there's the mystery there of how that ends, and the life of the author. The author in real life finds out he has cancer, and then the character, the detective, also does. And so they're simultaneously, they kind of flip back forth. They're telling the mystery from the story as the same time they're trying to solve the mystery from what happened to the author. Right. So it's a really good mystery. I think it's only 3 or 4 episodes, like a lot of British shows are. So yeah. I recommend that on PBS.
Awesome. I'll check that out. It should be on probably DVD, a lot of the PBS shows.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be if it's not yet.
All right, great recommendations. Thank you, Peter, for joining me again. That's all we got for this episode. So stay tuned for future episodes. I'm not sure what the next one will be. We'll have to figure that out, but I'm sure it'll be a good one. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.